Members of Parliament are elected to represent the people of their electorate. Achieving successful outcomes for their people is the aim of all members. What else does being the representative of the people mean?
Parliament, the legislature, is the people's house. That's where people are represented by their representatives who they elect at general elections. And it's important, and is an important principle of the Westminster system, that it's open to the people to observe at any stage.
I had a couple come in to my electorate office probably a year or two after I was elected, and their house was literally falling down around them. Their ground floor slab had cracked and the house was subsiding. It took us 6 years to work on that one, but I tell you what, nobody can take away the sense of achievement of being able to make a difference like that in somebody's life.
One particular issue where a lady who had a family of about 6 children, under 10, and she was actually living in her car, and she was on the waiting list at Homes West, and through constant advocacy we were able to get her a house and her kids in a house in a stable environment, and they're able to go to school. They've been missing school, and the joy on that lady's and relief on that lady's face is something that I'm particularly proud of, and that's been repeated. But I think it's the issues where you get people out of crisis that you can really feel really satisfied by.
So nearly a quarter of people in my district are over 70. But just on the point of older people talking to older members, a lot of older people have come up to me, a lot of people in my district who are, by nature, the district is with an older population, who are really happy that a younger person has been elected. They see it as energy and a fresh perspective on what we can do in terms of the role in Parliament and someone who represents them. So a lot of older residents have said to me they're very, very happy to see someone who's got so much energy or vision for the district.
Our electorates continue to get bigger, and under the current legislation that's only going to happen more and more, and from a regional party's perspective that makes us very nervous in terms of what the future for real representation in this place means for people that choose to live outside the metropolitan area.
We are following a committee of inquiry into child sexual abuse and child abuse generally, instituted changes to the way evidence was given. Now, I really hadn't thought much about this until recently, and someone came up to me in the street and said, you know how important that change was to the proper, if you like, treatment of young people, particularly in circumstances where in the past they had to confront their perpetrator in the court system, and now they don't have to do that.
Politics does have a lighter side. Former member Terry Tuck Waldron and current member Tony Butty show that politicians can have a sense of humour, something the public sees all too rarely.
I always tell a story about early on when I was a member of Parliament, and I pulled into a garage to get petrol, and as I walked in, the lady who had just got petrol was talking to the guy behind the counter, and she was going off about politicians, saying politicians, they're all lazy, cheating, thieving, so-and-sos, and she was really paying out. The guy behind the counter knew me, and he got a bit embarrassed, so I tapped the lady on the shoulder and said, look, excuse me, I should let you know, my name's Tuck Waldron, I'm your local member of Parliament. And with that, she started apologising for what she'd said. And I said, no, don't apologise, that's what you felt. And you're right, we do need to lift our image, etc. This lady didn't know that I'd been in real estate for about 17 years. And as she walked out, she turned around to me and she said, anyway, mate, it could be worse. You could be one of those lying, cheating, thieving real estate so-and-sos. And I looked at her and I said, I was, for 17 years. And this lady looked at me, shook her head and said, there's no hope for you, is there, mate?
I'm very involved in most of my schools out in my electorate. I know I go to schools a lot. The kids get really excited when they see the local member of Parliament in the shopping centre. Really excited. As I say, politics is, it's the showbiz for ugly people. And I must say, I kind of feel, when I have that adulation by certain young people, you think, gee, this must be what it's like for a pop star.
The Honourable Peter Tinley is one of 3 members of the present Western Australian Parliament who has served in a war. This has helped define his perspective of service to the people.
Service gives you much more return than just economic return that you get from business. So I saw that opportunity as to put a different uniform on, I suppose, and serve again. So that's very much, so that doesn't sound very, it sounds a bit cheesy, if you want to call it that, but it's not. It's very much what I believe in. The idea of acting with honour is really, really important to me. So how I conduct myself in the House, how I conduct myself with other members of Parliament and certainly staff as well, is very, very important to me. And those are the sort of things I learnt from the military that actually are really applicable to being a Member of Parliament.
The journey to serve, made by each member of the Western Australian Parliament, is rarely, if ever, easy. More often than not, it is a brutal and hard-fought journey. For some, it is the culmination of years of hard work, while for others, it is a life that they never dreamed of or expected. Josie Farrer, the member for Kimberley, is one such member.
Never ever dreamt where my journey would take me to. Coming from my grandparents who couldn't speak English, but they were very wise in making sure that I learnt a lot from them. I learnt about who I was, where I came from, and how proud I am now today to know that I was educated in a process that's so different, I guess, to how our children are educated in mainstream, very different. But it's made me the person who I am today, and I'm forever thankful. I never ever thought I'd become a part of the West Australian government. Never ever in all those years. Never ever thought I'd make it into local government. But looking back, the fight was there because of how we had been removed, how we were taken, and that was my first fight, to stand up and fight about my rights as a young Indigenous kid growing up. Now that we're in government, and I am part of the government that have been elected in for the West Australian Parliament, I feel this is a journey that is part of a dream. It seems like it's a dream and I've just woken up. And when I look around, and each morning when I come to Parliament, sometimes I sit outside and just view the city because I just can't believe that coming from out there, from around a campfire, that I could end up here. And I look at Perth, I sit outside before coming into Parliament, and I think to myself, if my mother was alive, she would have appreciated all that I've done, what I've worked very hard for in the two different, I guess, governments, in local government and then now in the state, and how it shaped me and made me the person who I am.